welcome back to the NROL-108 webcast. We are currently holding the countdown. We had an abort at T-minus 1 minute and 53 seconds and reset it to T-minus 45 minutes. Welcome back to the NROL-108 slightly high in the upper stage. We are currently holding the countdown, which caused the abort at we do decide to 1 minute sure we catch 3 seconds any and all potential issues T-minus 45 minutes. Both the vehicle and the payload are continuing to be in good health. The team right now is evaluating whether or not we'll be able to make another launch attempt today. We should have a better idea of that in the next 15 to 25 minutes. If we can't launch today, we do have another backup opportunity tomorrow in the same time frame. Again, thanks for sticking with us for everyone that is tuned in right now, and we'll update you as soon as we can.
And but I'm gonna continue on with the questions. Let's see here. Oh, good question here. What is the dark discoloration towards the top of stage 1? It looks like soot. So you can see sort of the grayish areas where it is scorched from re-entry. However, the darkest point at the very top is actually the carbon fiber inner stage, which is pure black when it first comes out of the factory before it's ever flown before. So that darkest part is actually the inner stage. It's not painted white on the outside. It's that rare, sort of bare carbon fiber, and that is the part of the first stage which encompasses where the second stage engine sits. And then when the stages separate, the second stage engine bell just kind of comes out of that area. So that is the darkest part of at the top of stage 1 that you're seeing there. More questions here. Here is a good one, Lee. A question regarding space junk. How are launch windows planned to avoid collisions with existing orbiting objects? That is a great question. It's something that is done for all launches, all orbital launches. It's called, you might hear a COLA window, C-O-L-A, which is a collision on orbit launch assessment or something like that. I apologize if I got the acronym wrong, but that COLA window is something calculated for all these different missions, which do avoid the mission flying too close to big objects in low Earth orbit. Lots of times you'll hear there's a collision avoidance consideration for the International Space Station, as it's such a large satellite in low Earth orbit. That usually comes up a lot. Sometimes for other things like the Hubble Space Telescope, occasionally things like that. It could happen for any mission in low Earth orbit, but yeah, that is something that they take into account for all of these missions, making sure that during the flight it won't intersect with anything that's already in orbit. And that's just a matter of comparing the launch trajectory to the cataloged items that are flying over the launch site at a given time. But yes, that is 100% considered during launch preparations.
Yeah, one of the things I loved, it was just a humorous thing that occurred. The final flight to Hubble, actually, the last of the shuttle missions that never went to the International Space Station, actually, if they hadn't have launched at the opening of the window, there were days in the Hubble launch schedule where they had COLAs and cutouts to avoid the International Space Station.
Right.
Which was kind of funny, considering that was the only one that wasn't going to the space station.
Right.
But you had to avoid it. Yeah.
Shuttle is usually trying to go to the ISS, and then the one time they're not trying to, it can't not go to the ISS. Yeah. But so there's the answer to your question. Das, I've got a question for you if you've got a minute to answer it.
Yeah, what's up?
We've got a question here. Any update on your camera setup? Are you going to make some changes after filming Starship SN8?
Aha, yes. Amazon and the shipping companies are our friends as as things are whizzing all over the place, moving around so that we can make some improvements on those cameras for the coverage. That is definitely something that we're working on, y'all. So based on y'all's support, your absolutely insane generosity, we were able to always keep improving. We're working on audio stuff. One of the big projects I'm working on is getting a live microphone from that close-in camera so we can get live audio. And the trick with that is something that'll last for hours and hours and hours when you cannot touch it, and also be weatherproofed, which is not usually a thing for mics. So if anybody has any weatherproof microphone options, like, link them over to me because I'm interested. That's something that we're working on. And then also some more cameras, some better control, some better stable signal, all sorts of improvements being made out there. So no specific updates beyond that, but Bin Chicken, just make sure you understand that we are definitely going to make every stream better than the last. Thank you for asking, and thanks for the support.
There we go. And some more questions here. Oh, here is a good one that I actually am surprised we have not talked about this. Asking, was there a static fire for this mission? And there actually wasn't. This first stage was not static fired ahead of this launch. Of course, it flew to space and back 4 times
Thanks
and
for
conducted static fires ahead of some of those missions. But this mission did not conduct a static fire on the first stage right prior to flight.
On the countdown, what
SpaceX has kind of been avoiding that on boosters that have flown several times. They have
during the countdown,
basically the idea behind that being they have enough data where they don't need to static fire before every single launch. Brand new boosters, they're still doing static fires.
Now keep in
Boosters
mind,
that are near, that are fleet leaders, life leaders that have flown more than the rest of the fleet, they're still doing static fires on those. But if they're in the middle there where this booster, for example, has flown 4 times already, that's enough data for SpaceX to say we don't need another static fire test, we can just go straight into the launch field. So that's a great question. No static fire prior to this point.
And make another launch attempt today. We should have a better idea of whether or not we'll be able to do this in the next 20 or 10 to 20 minutes. If we're unable to launch today, we do have another opportunity tomorrow, Friday, in the same time frame. Thanks for sticking with us, and I'll give you an update in a few more minutes.
So still very rare not to do a static fire.
Yes. It's a very new thing where they've started to reduce the number of static fires, so it's only been a few. This is the 4th mission they've done that for. But that will continue going forward, where some missions will not require a static fire.
And this is
that just helps.
Go ahead, Thomas. Sorry.
I was just saying that just helps reduce the time between all of these flights and helps improve SpaceX's launch cadence. But go ahead.
Exactly. And apologies, I'll say it again for those of you who have joined us. I'm not purposefully interrupting Thomas. There's like a 1-second difference, so I think he stopped talking. And but anyway, yeah, it's this is important though for not doing a static fire, because this is a really big customer they're not doing a static fire for, and the majority of the previous ones, if not all of the previous ones, again I'm blanking on that, but either a majority or most of them that they haven't done static fires on before were in-house Starlink missions. So this is fairly big, not do a static fire for an NRO flight.
It is. Of course, it is also noteworthy as this is the first mission for the Department of Defense using a flight-proven booster as well. So there's a correlation there.
Exactly. But it should also be pointed out too that static fires are sort of routine for SpaceX, but they're not routine in the industry. SpaceX is to my knowledge, the only one that hauls all but 4 or 5 now missions out to the pad and static fires them ahead of time. Nobody else does that. A lot of other companies do wet dress rehearsals where you fuel the rocket and you take it all the way down to engine ignition, but don't actually light the engines. So it's not that SpaceX is skipping something that's industry standard. They're just opting not to do an extra thing that's part of their process because they have the data to support that they're fine.
Yes. Continuing on with the questions, Dave Wolf, just with some kind words actually. I'm so thankful for Chris getting up at early o'clock, traveling to and setting up the cameras for the energy stream. Meanwhile, Das, Michael, and Thomas are in their bunny slippers.
Hey.
I'm in sweatpants and a hoodie. That's close enough.
I put on pants. Jeez, come on.
There you go.
Chris's commute is Daytona down to the Cape. My commute is pants. So.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, my commute for the Indian launch was also pants.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yes.
Hey, we're just trying to be safe from COVID, okay?
some more questions that have come through here. Here's a good one, and I actually pulled up some reference materials to answer it. Cygnus asking, I believe only 6 boosters are currently available. Is SpaceX in the process of manufacturing more boosters? So the current status of the SpaceX fleet, if you will, not to be confused with the
Hey again,
boat
just
fleet.
checking
I guess
in
I
with
should have
everyone.
called it something different.
This is
Falcon
the
9 booster
NROL-108
fleet.
launch webcast.
There is
During the
booster
countdown, pressure was
1029,
slightly
which
high in the
recently
upper
launched
stage
the
liquid
Starlink
oxygen tank, which caused a
V1L15
hold to
mission.
the countdown.
Hey again,
just checking in with everyone. The purpose of the countdown. This is the NROL-108 launch webcast. During the countdown, and the payload are in good health. The team is still evaluating whether or not we'll be able to recycle and attempt another launch today. Our window ends at 12 p.m. Eastern. So we should have more information in the next 10 to 15 minutes. If we can't launch today, we do have another opportunity tomorrow in the same time frame. Again, thanks for hanging in there with us, and sit back and we'll update you as soon as we can.
The status of those boosters are not really well known because they haven't been working to convert them to Falcon 9s, which we know was an idea at some point, but it seems like that really hasn't come to fruition because they're kind of just sitting around. Who knows if they will actually ever fly again. After that, we've got Booster 1058, which has flown 4 missions. Booster 1059 is the one you are looking at, ready for its 5th flight for the NROL-108. And then there's also Booster 1060, which has flown 3 times, and 4th flight will be Turksat 5A, the next one coming up. And then we have Booster 1061, the Crew 1 booster, preparing for Crew 2. Booster 1062, which recently launched GPS-3 SVO4. That booster is already allocated for the next GPS-3 satellite as well. And then we have Booster 1063, which just launched Sentinel-6A from Vandenberg. So in total, there are 8 Falcon 9 boosters available and in the active fleet. After that, boosters 1064 and onward, we have seen them starting to go through McGregor. Those are the boosters for the next Falcon Heavy mission, USSF-44, launching next year. So the next 3 boosters will be Falcon Heavy components. And then after that, they could go back and produce more Falcon 9 boosters. But right now, since they're in the middle of producing boosters for that next Falcon Heavy flight, no new Falcon 9 boosters are really slated to enter the fleet in the near future. They're just sticking with the 8 Falcon 9 boosters that are in the active fleet, 3 of which, one of which is at Vandenberg, and 2 of which are already allocated towards Crew 2 and the next GPS mission. So those boosters aren't really available for a lot of commercial missions or Starlink missions and things like that, because they already have their next flight lined up. So really only like 5 boosters readily available for missions like that.
Just a quick update, the launch countdown must be resumed within the next 11 minutes if they're going to launch today. So that's the current situation that we're looking at. The launch window closes at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, which is in 56 minutes from now, and it is a 45-minute
we will be setting up for a 24-hour recycle.
Pressures in the upper stage liquid oxygen tanks, which caused the abort. Now keep in mind the purpose of the countdown is to help us catch potential issues prior to flight. There are 1,000 ways launch can go wrong and only one way it can go right. And given that, we are overly cautious on the ground, and if the team or vehicle sees anything that looks even slightly off, they'll stop the countdown. The vehicle and the payload are in good health. The team gave it their best effort to recycle within the remaining launch window, but it just wasn't in the cards for us today. Again, the vehicle and the payload are in good health, but this will end our launch attempt for today. The next earliest launch opportunity is tomorrow, Friday, December 18th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. As always, thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you on the next attempt tomorrow.
also dropped a link in Facebook and on Twitch as well. So look for those links, and I guess I ought to throw, at least in Facebook, since those didn't happen automatically, over in Facebook and in Twitch, I'll throw a link to our Patreon information in case you want to consider supporting the channel more directly. Up to you. No big deal. No pressure. All right. Well, we had a fun time, even though we didn't get a launch today, but we'll be back tomorrow to try one more time, and hopefully we get a launch tomorrow, but gives me a chance to show our holiday decorations again. All right, everybody, I'm going to end it right here. I'll see some of you in Discord a little bit later today, but now I have to go back to work. All right, that's going to do it for me. Thanks, everybody, for joining. My name's Tori. This is Overlook Horizon, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.